Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me today is a young lady that I had the pleasure of meeting a little bit over a year ago. She is full of life, full of love, full of laughter, a woman of God, and just somebody who just lights up the space when you're around her. Just a joy to be in her company, and she's taking some time out of her busy schedule to share a little bit about her journey in life and how she's overcome some challenges and obstacles and things of that nature with the hopes of inspiring and encouraging and uplifting others. So without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, allow me the pleasure to introduce to you Miss Ashley Hurst. Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
Sure.
Sure. Absolutely, absolutely. So before we jump into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the show, I do want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit with the audience about yourself, where you're from, what you do, anything that you'd like to share, just to give them a little taste of who Ashley is. So please do that for us.
Okay. All right. Well, I was born in Alabama, but I grew up here in Texas. So I call myself a Texas Bama. Most of pretty much my family, my mom's side, my dad's side, they all from Alabama. So we country, whether here or there. I am of a certain age. I do have a 15-year-old daughter. I am a single parent who is just trying to make it in this world here. Um, and I currently work at a children's hospital. I'm the manager of school services. I was formerly a special ed teacher 10 years ago until I moved in over to the hospital to manage the school service department. I do enjoy children. I enjoy helping to making sure they get all their educational needs met. I am a woman of God. He's still working on me. Let's just say that I ain't all the way there, but he's still working on me. But I grew up in the church and will continue to, straighten my walk. My walk is not all the way there, but hopefully it happens and you get back on track. So that's just a little bit about me.
All right, all right. Well, that's good stuff. And and that's pretty interesting. You said you used to teach first, and then now you're, of course, working in the hospital. I'm just curious, real quick, what made you decide to make the switch? Was this something you always wanted to do, or how did that opportunity even
Well,
come about?
first of all, I never wanted to be a teacher. When I graduated from college, I was not trying to teach, and they were like, and I could not find a job. So they were like, well, why don't you go get certified being a special education teacher? And I was like, okay, sure, I did that. And they don't tell you if you're good at something, they don't want you to leave. But
Mm-hmm.
it just came to a point to where I love my students. Like nobody could mess with them, whatever. But I just felt like I couldn't give them any more of me. It was just a burnout. It was almost 8 years in, and I was like, I need something new. I am not a um, person who likes to do the same thing every day. I need something new to spice it up, to give me a challenge. So therefore, I happened to hop online, saw this job at Children's Hospital, was became a teacher there in the psych on the psych unit for a while, and then as I just kept growing, moving to different levels, and then about it's been almost about 2.5 years ago, I was promoted to be a manager. So that's where I'm
Awesome,
at now.
awesome, awesome. And what in particular did you find to be, I guess, interesting or exciting about specifically teaching children who are identified as special needs, or even in your work now, where you're dealing with children who may, whether they have special needs or certain types of disabilities or things of that nature. What is it about that work that's a little bit different than, say, the quote unquote child who doesn't have these challenges
Yes,
or anything of
yes.
that nature?
The special thing is, like I said, you never know what you're gonna get, and it's just sometimes that light bulb moment when they be like, "Oh, I got it." It could be that they just learned that B comes after A, and you just never know. And just the point that they they just love on you, and there is a reason behind why they can't progress like the other kids. So they are trying their best, and sometimes that's all they're gonna be able to do. But they are always smiling no matter what. I mean, we do have the angry ones, but they just angry for a moment. They'll be just fine, and then they'll move on. So when you build that rapport with those kids, that Either they don't have anything. They go. The best part of their day is you as them coming to school that they get a hot meal, and you just have that empathy to be like, okay, I cannot show that maybe I don't want to be here today when they are counting on me to make their life a little normal, just those 8 hours in the day. So.
Hmm. I love that. And it, of course, it takes a special type of person to even have the, like you said, the empathy, the patience, the understanding, the non-judgmental mindset to come alongside children of special needs who, like you said, they may not can't be able to control certain things, and just the smallest of milestones, like you just used the example of knowing that B comes
Hmm.
after A, is a big deal. So I think when you partake in work like that, I can only imagine how fulfilling that can be, and if
Hmm.
nothing more, it helps you to appreciate the small moments in life, the things that we
Yes, most
take for
definitely.
granted, being able to think and move and behave and come and
Most
go as
definitely.
without any hesitations or restrictions, that again, things that we just take for granted, whereas others, whether they're children or even some who, of course, these children will one day be adults and they may still have
Hmm.
some of these challenges. So I think it's just a blessing to have somebody like you to be in that setting, and that's just an awesome work that you're doing. So it's
Thank
clear that
you.
that's a very
Thank you.
good fit for
Thank
you,
you.
with your personality and everything, just keeping it light and bubbly and all
Yeah.
of that, just kind of making it fun for them. So that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. So as with any journey that we go through in life, I'm a firm believer that in order for you to truly capture what a person's story is all about, you can't really tell that story without starting from the beginning, the sort of the foundational basis. And
Hmm.
so that's exactly where I want to start with you. And in that, what I'd like to ask you is if you would take us back to your childhood, your upbringing, and if you would just kind of walk it through with us. What was it like for you growing up? Fond memories
Hmm.
that you have about growing up, as well as if there was any specific challenges that you had to deal with growing up. Just kind of give us
Hmm.
that introduction to where your story begins, if you would, as you walk through that sharing of that information with us.
Okay. Well, like I said, I grew up here in Dallas, Texas. I live in Wiley, but north side of Dallas was a little not, I'm not gonna say ghetto, but it was a little different. But I do have a younger sister, so we're like 2.5 years apart. We did a lot of, I would say, moving around in the city. But I don't remember, if I would think back to my childhood, it if there was nothing that was so traumatizing. I feel like I had a good childhood because my mom and dad did exactly what they could and were capable of doing. There were times where, yes, my parents did. We're not together for a few years, but thank God they've been married 42 years now, so they can
Mm.
come through it. Um, but just growing up, I would say one thing that I remember, it's not as traumatizing as I thought it was now that I think about it. Like I said, I do have a little sister, and as a child, I was overweight. I was always, oh, but you got such a cute face, and and it made me. It didn't make me really fall back to be real shy, but it just made me be probably kind of bring out my bubbly personality. Like I had to make people laugh, or I wasn't. I'm not gonna say I was as outgoing as I am now. I
Hmm.
was very, I was kind of like a people pleaser. Like I just kind of ran with the crowd, but not to get myself in trouble because my mama did not play that at all. She was not playing that. But I was a daddy's girl. I still am a daddy's girl. So um, I feel like as I think back, I did have a good childhood. It wasn't as, and you have to think about this. I've seen many children go through a lot of things. So I would have to say I had a great childhood compared to what I've seen children go through. Um, I didn't have to worry about if I was gonna come home and was our lights gonna be on. I didn't have to worry about where our next meal was gonna come. Yes, there were times where it may have been a little uncomfortable and I could not get what I wanted. We were on a budget. My mama did not play. We were we. I never had. Let's say this. I never had a whole order of French fries by myself until I probably was about 14 because my mom would always be like, "Oh no, y'all gonna split these fries." And I never probably had a soda from a fast food place until I was because she was like, "You gonna drink this water? You could." But now that I'm adult, I get it. Like I get it. My life, you know, has some perks because my parents sacrificed so much. My mom is a hard. My both my parents are hard workers, God loving, God fearing people. I saw them. They have their challenges, but they always showed me how you can overcome those. So I think that's why my childhood um, was really not as bad as I thought it was. It was a typical childhood. Your parents did what they could. You weren't hungry. You may not have got to eat at McDonald's, but you had some food at home that you
Hmm.
did. Um, Growing up in, going to high school, I mean, I had friends. I still was dealing with my weight type of thing, but I didn't feel like I was bullied at times. I feel like I surrounded myself with friends that were like minded like me, that had parents like my parents. And it was very important because a core group of friends that I have started in the church that
Hmm.
I still know to this day. And we all grew up together. We had choir rehearsal. I mean, we just, I could call up one of them right now and they would answer the phone. We sit and talk and just do whatever. And I think being my mom and parents, and well, my parents embedding that church life in me really helped shape my adulthood and keeping those same group of friends who grew up like me. So it wasn't like I was searching for something that I didn't know about. Yes, there were parties that I wanted to go to, and my mama said no. And thank God, because guess what? That party got shot up.
Hmm.
And so you just say, thank you, Jesus. My mama knows. She had a mind frame. Hey, this is not what you do. So I always, and the best part is me and my mom always have been close. There's been times where maybe we were, and we can get into that later. But I always hear her voice in the back of my mind. Even to
Hmm.
this day, I'm 42 years old, and I still hear her say something. I'm like, that's not gonna be the right move. Let me think about this. So, I mean, my childhood was pretty good. It wasn't, like I said, I didn't get everything I wanted, but I got everything that I needed. Let's just say that. And so me and my sister are real close. That's my ride or die. I do whatever for her. We're all about family. That's how it is. Your family is your main go to. If you can't rely on your family, who else can you rely on? And family doesn't just have to be blood related. It could be a friend that you've had for 30 some plus years. That's your family. So, but yeah, I don't have any complaints now.
Well, that's good stuff. That is good stuff, and I like the fact that you pointed out. I didn't always get what I wanted, but I did get what I needed, and what I'm hearing
Hmm.
underlying behind that is you needed love, and that's what you got. You got the love of your
Hmm.
family, love of friends, just having that community, that circle, and unfortunately, a lot of kids growing up don't experience that because it's kind of in reverse. It's the
Hmm.
love is traded in exchange for the stuff. I show you how
Yeah.
much I love you by how much I spend money on you, not spending the quality time, not caring and being that shoulder to cry on, or being able to have those conversations of how to make good decisions in life and things of that sort. Is just how much stuff can I buy them? How much stuff can I get them? And
Hmm.
that's the
Hmm.
expression. And
Hmm.
nothing wrong with wanting to shower your kids with nice things
Yeah,
or whatever, but
exactly.
you have to also strike that balance between the stuff as well as the things that you can't buy. Again, that
Hmm.
time, that love. I mean, you and I met, um, you know for example, just through that very thing, being supportive of our daughters at their volleyball games.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know um and and yeah, we may have, sometimes you're there and for long periods of time, it's like, oh, when is this going to be over, whatever. But I'm confident, even in the spirit of all of that, that those are moments that they'll never forget. The fact that we
Mhm.
were there to
Mhm.
support and cheer them on, and when the game didn't go well, and the tears well up in their eyes, and they're feeling
Yeah.
some kind of way, we giving them the hugs and telling them it's gonna be all right. You did a good job, and all of
Yep.
that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's huge. And a couple of things that you mentioned that I did want to tap into. One, I'm always curious to hear when a female guest in particular talks about the relationship with her dad. Again,
Mhm.
being a father of a daughter and knowing how close I am with my own, I'm always interested in knowing how has that relationship of father daughter, being a daddy's girl, how has that relationship impacted your life, your decisions, even when you spoke earlier about the challenges with weight. You know, how,
Mhm.
how did how did dad make you, while you were feeling maybe self-conscious about those type of things, how did dad make you feel that you were that beautiful princess and it
Yeah.
didn't matter? Because I've even had that conversation with my own child. There was a point in
Uh-huh.
time where you know Gabby was getting a little chubby in the
Mhm.
face and around the
Mhm.
waist and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
getting self-conscious and watching
Yeah.
the scale and all of that, and trying to
Yeah.
let her know, no, we want you healthy, but I don't want you to ever think that you're not a beautiful
Exactly.
person inside and out. So I'm just curious, what was that relationship like with your dad, and how has that
Yeah.
impacted you then and even now?
Yeah. I just think I always tell him this. I was like, "You made me fat." Because he's a good cook, and he would be at home and he would be cooking these good old meals. We had a neighborhood kids saying, "When your dad gonna cook that cornbread again?" Like, so and one thing he never, and as I think about it now, he never said anything to me about my weight, and he just listened. He's not a very emotional person. He doesn't like to see me cry or be upset, so he'll try to be like, "What you crying for?" I mean, it's all right, ain't nothing wrong with you, that type of stuff. So, but even though it's not what I needed at that moment, I knew there was love behind that because
Hmm.
he grew up with seven sisters, so he was used to all that, and he cannot stand to see somebody he loved, in pain or hurt. He's just that he may not cry with you, but he gonna make sure he know that he's there for you. As in, I would say, and it's kind of difficult for me to kind of put two and two together. Is in a relationship, I always say, well, if you're not gonna do it, my daddy gonna do it anyway. I always used to say that, like, if you ain't gonna do it, my daddy gonna he gonna figure it out for me. And I did meet someone that I thought had tendencies like my father. Um, but that didn't happen. That that kind of went away. But he really showed me, even though he's not the perfect man. I've seen my parents go through stuff, and I've heard my mother tell me stories, and but to see where he's at now is just it is amazing. It is. I know that God is good, and because my mom is a woman of God and a praying, and she surrounded herself with people that have prayed for her in their relationship, that I know what the end can look like.
Hmm.
It still may not be peaches and cream, but I know what it can look like. So I would say I always would look for certain things in a partner like my dad, but I think I would kind of overlook. I would be so busy looking for that, I would overlook the bad, like the stuff, those red flags. I'm like, oh, well,
Hmm.
that's okay because he got this or he got that. So, I mean, it's kind of good and bad. It's just hard because once I thought that this person, well, he kind of be like my daddy, and really, that just made me stop thinking. It just blinded me. Like, okay, well, that red flag, that flag not flying that high. It's fine. He'll get over it.
Right,
I can
right.
change it. So yeah.
Well, that's good. Like I said, I'm always intrigued about that father daughter relationship, and clearly, your dad was there and supportive for you, and even even when you were feeling down, he's trying to kind of whether inject some sense of humor or whatever to kind of get you through, and he probably shed some
Mhm.
tears behind the scene. He was just trying to be tough for you, and
You're
and
right.
when you have that bond with your daughter like that, you don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to see them beat themselves up, and you definitely as a man, you don't want to disappoint them, in the sense of your own personal behaviors, and
Mhm.
I've talked about that a number of times with other men who are fathers of their daughters, and it's kind of a common thing, because you kind of if you said something wrong, did something wrong, thought something wrong, that's one of the first images that pops in your head. Oddly enough, is that
Mhm.
daughter, like
Yeah.
and then of course when they get to that
Mhm.
age where dating starts to be a thing, and I'm not there yet, thank goodness. I'm not looking forward to it, but you
It's
know, just
coming.
just knowing, like I know what the good that I want, but also kind of what you just spoke to about your dad. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure if I was having this conversation with him, like, yeah, I want you to see these good things, these good elements in me that I want you to be looking for in that guy. But then I also know some stuff that I'm not really, I'm a work in progress on, or when I was that age, I
Yeah.
was like this, that, and other. No, don't go after him. I used to be him. Don't do that.
Exactly.
So so it's crazy,
Exactly.
that when you think back to that. But yes, it's always a good thing. Again, I'm glad that you had both parents in your life, and just even a testament to their marriage, the fact that yeah, their marriage wasn't weird in the sense of marriages go through challenges, and but the
Mhm.
fact that even in the midst of whatever challenges they had, I mean, obviously I don't know all the details of that, but whatever it was, they managed to work through it, work it out, and now here they have
Mhm.
a multi-decade
Yeah.
bond with one another. Whereas in today's times, a lot of people, it don't take but one argument, and they in divorce
They
court.
done.
I'm done with you, so it's
Yep.
always good to hear that. So thank you so much for sharing that part. So, as we move along through your journey of life, of course, your, great childhood, had some early challenges with weight and maybe some other just figuring life out, and you make your way into adulthood and start experiencing other things. The one thing is for sure is that you live life long enough. There's going to come a point in time where you begin to start encountering challenges that are a little bit more heavy or a little bit more intense than just the regular
Mhm.
routine stuff that we deal with. So, with that said, if you would tell us about a time when you were actually faced with such a challenge that, despite you being able to navigate through a whole lot of different things, big and small, that this particular situation that you're about to share is something that this hit different. This was something
Mhm.
that you questioned, you doubted, maybe even, how am I going to get through this?
Mhm.
What was that story like for you? Kind of walk us through that, and tell us, what ultimately was the turning point in you being able to
Mhm.
sort of see light at the end of the tunnel, and having that breakthrough moment.
Okay. I would probably say so. In I think 2000, it was a while ago. So I got married at the age of 26 to a guy that I had dated for maybe about 5 years. We had dated for a little while before because I met him when I was in college. I met him in Dallas at a club somewhere. Don't marry a man that you meet at the club unless it's Bible
Mm.
study club.
Bible study club.
um, so we met, and that relationship was a lot, and I think that stems from me seeing that this guy, oh, he wants me. He wants me. I didn't have boyfriends in high school. I didn't have boyfriends in college. But I was like, oh, okay, well, he wants me. So meet him at the club. We do exchange numbers. We start dating, going through all this dating stuff. Find out one day I get a phone call. It's another woman. So basically he was dating two women at the same time. Um, And when I tell you this woman was crazy, she was crazy. She even wrote my parents a letter one time stating, "Hey, she's ruining our lives. that I had an abortion and that I need to get out their lives. And it was anonymous, but I knew who it was from. And at that point in my life, now that I think about it, that should have been my stop. That should have been like, hold up, wait a minute. But because of the way he just treated me and talked to me, and he didn't have no money, no nothing like that. It was just the attention that I was getting from him that just kept me there. And as our relationship progressed, I mean, it was still just stuff because he had a daughter before I met him. I think she was about 9 months old when I met him. And so that was also a challenge for me from going for somebody that ain't really dated to dating a man with a baby. So that's
Mm.
different. Um, and then let's see, we dated for a while, broke up. We broke up, got back together. Come to find out, he ended up getting back with the girl before she gets pregnant.
Mm.
Like, okay, well, how can am I going to deal with this or am I not? So I just deal with it. Come to find out, maybe a couple months later, that some other woman was saying that he was the father of her son. And I was like, okay, this is a lot. This is now we already like got over the hump of the baby that he had during our breakup. Now it's this. So he shows me a picture of the baby. I'm like, that's your baby. His mama's like, that ain't his baby. I'm like, that's his baby. Come to find out, that's his baby. So now I'm in a relationship with a guy that I thought had one baby, and now he has a total of three children. So as I journey through this, there's so much drama that goes on. I mean, I've had one of them try to fight me through a car. I've had one calling me in the middle of the night. Just a bunch of drama. So all these red flags, but I'm still hanging in. I'm like, I got his back. I see the potential in him. I see that he's gonna be this great man. You know, um, so fast forward, a couple years later, we end up getting married. Well, before I got married, I end up getting pregnant. We were planning the wedding, I got pregnant, and we actually, which people pretty don't know, but they'll know now thanks to this. We got married right after I found out I was pregnant. We went to the Justice of the Peace, got married because, as we know, my mom is a God fearing woman. My parents were like, okay, well, you need to go ahead and marry him. I'm like, well, we get married in July anyway. What's the point? Well, no, y'all finna have this baby. You need to go ahead and marry. So we get married, still have our wedding in July. My daughter ends up being born in October, which I think people put two and two together that at my wedding I didn't look pregnant because I was sick all the time, so I didn't walk down the aisle looking pregnant. And so I had her in October, and I had her early. She was a preemie, and I don't want to say that's when things started to get a little rough. Our parents, my parents, let's say this, my parents are very involved in my life. His mom, he grew up in a single parent household, struggling all the time. Has a great mother. She's a sweet lady. Um, but I think there was a lot of challenges how we grew up. Like I said before, I didn't grow up walking in my house and the lights weren't gonna be on. And my parents sat and talked to him before we got married. Hey, this is what she's accustomed to. So get married, have my daughter. Things start getting a little rocky so I got a baby mama over here. We actually three baby mamas. The one that he had the baby that was in between us, very cuckoo for cocoa. And the crazy part is, my daughter's birthday is October 14th. The daughter in the middle, her older sister, is October 15th. So I'm in the hospital, and they telling me that I got to deliver this baby. I said, well, you better not let her come on the 15th because we can't deal with this, same birthday thing.
Mm.
But a couple months down the line, it was just a lot of turmoil between this me and this woman. Like, she would call in the middle of the night saying she needed her tires, just a bunch of drama, just unnecessary drama. And I felt like I had to make him spend time with his kids. I'm like, okay, do they need school clothes? Do they need this? Yes, you're paying child support. So then comes to be that I'm the breadwinner. Now I'm just teaching. Teachers don't make a whole bunch of money. So I'm teaching. not making a lot of money. I am working hard. I'm working all the way downtown. We living in Garland, and it's like I'm ripping and running, doing all of this crazy stuff. So my parents were, like I said, were involved. So they purchased a home, and we rented it from them, which was fine. We did that for a while. Well, he ends up out of this. He ends up pretty much leaving me maybe 3 times throughout our whole marriage, saying that he was just struggling with things and he didn't know what was going on with himself. And, I would have people come to the house and like, let's pray, I'm involving everybody that was there for us during our marriage, getting married. Can y'all come in my house? I can't do this. This is hard. I got this baby. And he's a good father while he was physically there. But it was just a lot of he was very selfish. Let's say it was all about him, him, him. I'm struggling trying to make ends meet. I controlled the bills because I just did not. I couldn't let that go because I can't function not knowing if we're gonna have groceries, if we're gonna have this. My baby needs what, and I know I could always go to my parents, but I'm like, I got a husband. I don't want to have to go to my parents to do this. So, a couple years down the line, my parents moved to a new neighborhood. The house that they moved out of, they were going to sell it, but they were like, well, do y'all want to just move into this bigger house and just, we'll pay rent? So I had figured that maybe I was being a little too controlling in the marriage. So I said, hey, do you want to rent this house from my parents? It's bigger, more space, whatever. So he was like, yeah, let's do that. So at during that time that we moved to the house, he ends up losing his job over something that he did that he shouldn't have did at work, or somebody saw something. It was just a mess. So he ends up losing his job. He's unemployed for maybe like a year and a half, and all he would do was play video games. He wouldn't really help me. I'm driving all the way down. Now, this is when I started working at the hospital. I'm driving downtown, trying to get back home to pick up my daughter from daycare, and he's down the street because our house is down the street from the daycare. And it was just a lot. Like, I would have to come home, cook, get her ready. He wouldn't do anything but be up there playing video games, and it was just a lot for me. I felt like I was losing who I was. Like, I'm not the same Ashley. I'm not fun anymore. I'm not. I'm just exhausted, and I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And the last straw, I would say, is, well, let's back up for this. I would always encourage him, hey, you can go work at Whataburger for all I care right now. Whataburger's down the street. You can go down there and work at what, as long as you bring in something in. But this is a lot. Like, I'm paying car notes. I'm doing everything to just kind of make ends meet. And he would just be up there playing the video games, and I would just be so frustrated. And we went to counseling, and I just felt like nothing was changing. And my last straw was I was at work, and I got a picture sent to my phone of him laying on the couch. And it's gonna be a little vulgar, but the text said, sleep with your you may not want to kiss your husband tonight. And at this point, I was done because it was from his baby mama. And I was like, I'm done. So I call him and I'm like, what is going on? And she cropped that picture. And I'm like, well, first of all, why are you in her house if you know she's crazy? You know she does things like this. So why are you doing that? No reason, I just went up there because my daughter wanted something to eat. You could have handed that food. To me, it was just like you were doing things and you already know how she is. So that was the last straw. I called my mom. I said, I can't do this anymore. This is not what I want to do. So I literally got a divorce. I did it all on my own. I went to the court. I got the paperwork. I printed it off. I filed. He did not want to get he did not want to get a divorce. He cried. And it was just too late. I think when a woman is fed up, they fed up because they're just numb. They're like, I don't care if I used to say, if Jesus came down to me and said, you need to get back with him, I would look at Jesus and say, are you sure? Are you positive? Because this ain't what this is. But I didn't want that for my daughter, but I knew that she didn't need to see that Ashley. That was not the Ashley that she needed to be raising her. And once I got a divorce, it was hard. it was not what I wanted to do, but I think, and I know God hates divorce in certain circumstances that you can kind of move forward, but it was just something I needed to do. And I realized, hey, God, because I didn't listen to you, this is what I had to go through. But I think it's made me look at certain scenarios a lot different. Um, it was times where I just cried and cried because I was tired. I'm like, I'm doing this by myself. And when I tell you by myself, there was no come pick. I had to force him to come get her. I mean, till this day, he doesn't see her like he needs to. He doesn't, and it hurts me because I know the relationship I have with my father, and I think that's why I pushed it so much at the beginning, and to the point where I had to stop. Like I was angry. Like I was, me and my mom would just get in, you know, fights, just arguing about everything, and she would tell me, "Why are you mad at the people that love you the most?" And you're putting up a fight with us for, and we always got your back. And to this day, they, there would be nothing I could do to make them not love me. Nothing. And that really says something to how I was acting. I was trying to be, just trying to push a relationship to a man that really didn't deserve the love that I had to give him. My parents surrounded him with love. They would, pay for certain things for him to do as far as his education, but it just wasn't there. And I think because I tried to force it, when I had to finally let it go, it was a struggle because it was like I failed. I remember walking out of that courtroom, and it took all of 60 seconds to get a divorce. And I walked out of that courtroom and I just bawled because it was like all that time that I've given to this person, it took 60 seconds to just say it's done. And I remember the clerk said, "Baby, it's gonna be all right. It'll be all right." And she was right. It was all right with the support of my friends and my family. And I said, and one thing I remember saying, "Oh, I can go up there by myself. I don't need y'all to go to court with me." And my mom was like, "Girl, I am." Even my homegirl was like, "No, I'm going with you." And thank God I did have them there with me because I was a mess. Just
Mm-hmm.
thinking about all the stuff I sacrificed, all the money I spent that I could have had other stuff with. But it was a lesson learned. It was something that I needed to go through. I didn't want to go through it, but because I made a decision that wasn't of God, and God, my parents even told me that's not the one for you. I'm like, but I love him. Love ain't always love. Love ain't always good. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle. I am still. I mean, that was probably 10 years ago, and I've dated here and there, but making a big commitment like that again, it would really. I'm very, very, very careful because I could have been married again real easy, but this and Lord, I know I checked with him first,
Okay.
so I overcame it. Get involved and trying to do different things and just making sure my daughter was good. I did. I still kind of shower her with what she wants. And I think, I try to replace that love that she's not getting with her father, but now I'm learning I can't do that. She's gonna have to build that relationship on her own now. She'll be 15 on Saturday, so I can't force that. And once I quit forcing it, it was easier for me to say, okay, I can only do what I can do. I can't force anybody to be there for you like they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the biggest thing in my adulthood, is because I never thought that I would get married, get divorced, and be a single parent. That was not in the cards. There was nothing there. I didn't set my life up to do that, but it is what it is.
Wow. Wow. Well, I want to first off say, I'm very appreciative of the fact that you were so transparent in sharing your story. I know that's not easy to do. Even like I said, it being 10 plus years ago, just reliving that can be challenging. But I think your story is important to share because it's a thing that people go through.
Mhm.
People go through divorce. People have, moments in time where they've made, not the best decisions in the mate that they selected. And while it wasn't a comfortable situation that you went through, it wasn't a fun situation that you went through.
Mhm.
Like what you stated, I never heard you say, I wish this wouldn't have never happened. You instead focused on, I needed to go through this. You understood that I needed to go through this journey in order to get to where I am today, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It was necessary. And sometimes God has his way of, it's not about punishing you as much as it's
Mhm.
about if he sees that you're drifting away from him, that the relationship is becoming distant between you and him, and that you're seeking acceptance or seeking affirmation,
Mhm.
seeking love from a person that is not on the same page as you are in terms of, and if we want to get biblically speaking about it, clearly this wasn't an equally yoked situation.
Very much so. Yeah.
And so God has to remind us sometimes that when we kind of come up with our own way of how we're going to do something, and it's not in alignment with how he would desire for us to do it, sometimes he has to let that thing blow up on us.
Mhm.
But he's always there. He didn't let you get to the point while you may have shed many tears and had some moments where I'm just tired. He never allowed it to destroy you. He was there all along,
Mhm.
and he surrounded you with people, as you said, my family, my parents, my friends. He kept those people around you to keep you upright, so that way, even in something as difficult as what divorce is, it didn't take you out. It you know
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
allowed you an opportunity to be restored, to be rejuvenated, to have a new perspective, and of course a closer relationship. You not only reconnected with God, but I'm sure after going through something like this, it allowed your relationship to become even more solidified with Him. So now moving
Mhm.
forward, whether it's in future relationships even in other decisions that you make, you're now mindful and saying, yeah, I kind of have an idea about what I want, but I'm also checking in just to make sure
Mhm.
this is on the same page. So I'm not so quick to just say, just so that somebody can say that they like me, or that I can feel good about somebody paying attention to me. I'm not going to risk
Mhm.
the chance of settling, when I don't have to. I
Yeah.
don't have to
Yeah.
settle because I got the
Exactly.
looks, I got the brains, I got the,
Mhm.
but more important than all of that, I got a heavenly Father who considers me to be, the apple of his eye, so to speak. And so whatever man that is, if that's in the cards for another man to have that opportunity to have that level of relationship with you, you're gonna know. And he's going to have to know what is going
Mhm.
to be required of him in order for you to make that type of commitment, because you're saying, I refuse to settle for less. I refuse to
Mhm.
take low when I don't have to, because that's not how God created me
Mhm.
to be. He didn't create me to take low, so I don't have to.
Mhm.
And if that means I gotta stay single for a little longer just to not take
I
low,
sure will.
then I'm good with that, and I'll sleep peacefully at night
Sure
versus
will.
going through what I went through, because it's not worth it. So,
It's not.
for anybody that's listening, whether you're a woman listening to this, or even as a man, because men are guilty of it too. Of sometimes selling themselves short, taking low, and jumping into situations that just weren't healthy. I mean, just the mere fact that you spoke of your ex and the different baby mamas and the situation that he's in.
Mhm.
Clearly, he had some things that perhaps he could decipher through it. And one of the things that I do love about your story, despite the fact that it was clearly a very challenging moment, I never heard you speak horrible of the man in terms of
Mhm.
you didn't dog him in the telling of your story.
Mhm.
You pointed out some things that were concerning to you that made you
Yeah.
feel some kind of way, but I never heard you talk down to him, and I never heard you say anything that would suggest that you were disallowing the possibility of a relationship to form between your daughter and him. And I think that is so critical, to have that type of standing with kids, because anytime a divorce comes into play, that has to be difficult for a child to not have that parent around. And I just love the fact that you didn't, um, you never went down that path of saying, I'm not going to ever let you see your child again, or or I'm not going to ever let you see your dad again, or anything like that. You never. There's nothing about what your story represented that suggested that you were doing anything to hinder or to restrict that relationship. And so I think that that's absolutely powerful and important. And as you stated, your daughter's going to have to, on her own, in her own way, um, if she wants to, work that thing out in terms of building a relationship with her father. And God willing, the opportunity will come where they both kind of see eye to eye at the same time, and that healing, that relationship can be fostered, that relationship can be developed. Because I don't think that even with the marriage not working out, I don't think it's too late for the father daughter
Hmm.
relationship to manifest itself.
Yeah.
It just may
Yeah.
take time and just the appropriate
Yeah.
moment. But
Yeah.
I love the fact that you are leaving that window open, and you're not just constantly, your daddy ain't no good, your daddy ain't this, or
Yeah.
whatever, because unfortunately we see that happen quite a bit, and
Hmm.
it takes an already challenging situation and makes it worse, and that's just not fair to that child. So
And it's hard. It's hard to keep my mouth closed. And she loves him to death. And I would say this: he is a good person. He's just not my person.
and that's okay.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
sometimes people
Yeah.
are good people, they're just not good for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just not a
It's
good
not
match.
good for me. Yes.
We produced a beautiful baby. I've seen your daughter. I know your
Hmm.
daughter.
Yeah.
We produced a beautiful child. And so our genes were right.
Yeah.
All that matched
but
up.
not
But
that other
we
stuff.
relationally, we no, we did that. That was a mistake. We had some fun in the beginning, but yeah, we probably should have rethought that.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
and I
Hmm.
think just the fact that you do have your daughter around, if nothing more, if you can't find any, shining moment or bright light in all of that, she's a constant reminder of, if I don't have anything else to say that was good about all this, I
I
got
got
her.
her. Yeah.
And I know how incredibly close you are, between, your relationship with you and your daughter. So, that is a blessing in itself. So, with that said, Ashley, I'm curious to know, when you do find yourself faced with challenging times, adversity, and it doesn't even have to be anything as big as the story that you just shared, just minor, regular, everyday annoyances, challenges that we deal with. I'm curious to know, what is the process that you like to follow? That what regiment works for you when you're faced with those challenging things? What do you like to do that kind of helps you to work through whatever that situation
Mhm.
is, so that way you can kind of get to the end of it and make right with it, whatever it is,
Mhm.
without losing your mind in the process, without
Yeah.
overwhelming yourself or stressing yourself out?
Yeah. I would have to say. I mean, I do like to maybe just kind of vent to someone, like my mom or my sister or somebody. Just kind of let it out. I don't like to complain a lot because of what I see every day, and parents losing. I mean, parents losing their children or the situation. So it working where I work really has an effect on how I process my feelings. Um, I used to be a very, very emotional person, like crying all the time. And I think one thing that happened is in my marriage, it'd be like, what you crying for? Things like that. So it kind of made me to build that wall up. I can still be emotional. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I can be emotional if I need to. I know exactly who I can go to, or if I just say, riding in my car in silence, maybe just listening to a little murder mystery or something like that, or going to church or just laying in my bed in silence, or just taking everything from that day and reflecting and saying, you know what, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse than what you're going through right now. So all the time when bad things happen, I always say, thank you, God, because it could be so much worse. And I
Hmm.
think the transition into this career, what I've been, teaching and going here, has just really opened my eyes to, like, and then just looking at things going on in the world. Thank you. I could be that person. I could be struggling through this. I could not be able to pay my bills. I could not be able to have my daughter do club volleyball. We know that's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things. I can get in my car as little and I can crank it up. I can go put gas in my car. I could, I opened my eyes this morning. Thank you. And I feel and I know I don't give him enough thanks. As 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 many things that I have done that he has disliked, and for him to still be working in my life, it just amazes me. And it's so it's just hard for me. I kind of just get over things easily. It's not. I mean, I'm not going to stay in that moment for what? What am I staying in this moment for? It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be angry, but you can control this. So how long am I just going to sit in this?
Mm-hmm.
Like you start sitting in the shit, the flies come. Like you need to get up, wash yourself off, pick yourself up, and let's move on. And how are we gonna do this differently next time so this don't happen? You can process. Oh, what steps did I take to get this direction? To make me go this wrong direction? So maybe I need to rethink this and say, okay, I could have did this a little bit different, and then I wouldn't have ended up this way. So that's just, and I think it comes with age too. As I get older, it's just like you got to work with what you're working with. You got to go roll with the punches. I don't let anything stop me. If there's a will, there's a way. And if God is opening this door and He know I need to go through it, but it's a punching bag in the middle, He gonna give me the strength to punch right through that bag and keep moving. If that's not
Mm-hmm.
the door I need to get through, it's gonna be real, real, real hard to get through. And I'm gonna say, hold on, this too much. Maybe this is the direction. Maybe I need to sit back and rethink it. Maybe God don't want me to go through that door. I need to rethink this. So that's just I just kind of let things don't bother me. Yeah, I may seem like I let it out and vent and do all that, but then I'm like, okay, next, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
that's just
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I process things and get through it. It's just life is too short. Things are too bad in this world right now. You know, to be sitting in sorrow or sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. It's just too much. You wake up. I mean, you could not wake up tomorrow and you sit there and be sad all day. Like, come
Right.
on.
Mm-hmm. You're
So
absolutely right, and
yeah.
I love your approach to this. A couple of things that stood out to me, and I don't know if you paid attention to the title of our show. I actually got that from something that you spoke to on your page about your mindset now is instead of me sitting back adding all my problems up, I'm focusing my emphasis on counting my blessings instead. And
Mhm.
and a lot of times and that's a maturity process. That shows strength in your walk with Christ, that you've gotten to that point to where when I go through stuff, I'm not going to sit here and complain about what I don't have, what's not going my way. I'm saying thank you. I'm
Mhm.
thankful that I have what I have, that I'm dealing with, even what I'm dealing with, because it's nowhere near what I could be dealing with. It's nowhere near what could be going on. The things that I'm able to do. This is what it's all about in terms of you counting your blessings when you find yourself up against adversity and challenge. It's not that you're ignoring or dismissing the fact that you got a problem to deal with,
Mhm.
but you're not letting that problem supersede how good God has been, how he's
Mhm.
blessed you, how he's made ways out of no way for you, that and like you said, the things that you know that sometimes we kind of take for granted, just the fact that hey, I got a roof over my head, I got clothes in my closet, I got food on my shelf, transportation in my garage, a job to drive it to. So yeah,
Mhm.
maybe this or that or the other is going on right now, but I'm in my health is good, I'm in my right mind, I'm able to so much I'm able to do. And then, like you said, I go to work each day and I see kids and I see their parents, you know, they're going through some for real struggles, some for real problems. So
Mhm. Mhm.
how dare I complain about,
Mhm.
what in comparison to my small problem, in
Mhm.
comparison to their big problem. My child is not up in here, fighting for their lives or just fighting to just
Mhm.
do the basics of life. So, and I think again, between just how your makeup is in terms of being that caring, giving, empathetic person, works in that situation, but also it's also an opportunity for you to be blessed by it as well. While you're being a blessing to those children, you also daily get those blessings and those reminders about just how good God has been to you,
Mhm.
and how He can use you to just do, just to bring that joy and that that spark those kids need to see every day. So I love that whole approach and that mindset. And I would encourage anybody, don't let the circumstances that you're dealing with consume you. And that was the other thing I wanted to mention that you said. It's okay for you to vent. You're still a human
Mhm.
being.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if you need to vent to somebody, if you need to, you know, scream out, punch that bag, or
Mhm.
or whatever, or get that quick cry out, whatever that
Yeah.
is, get it out. Because it's
Yeah.
not good for you to hold it in, but just
Exactly.
but just don't
Exactly.
stay stuck there. Don't
Yeah.
allow that
Mhm.
situation because as long as you got that relationship with God, there's nothing too big for Him. The last time I
Mhm.
checked,
Yeah.
He's undefeated when it comes to that. So you can't even come up with a problem. You can't even make up a problem that's going to be too big
Exactly.
for Him to handle. So so that's definitely a great approach that you have, and I think that probably does wonders for you, like you said, in terms of just being able to deal with the adversities of life, be it big or small. So
Mhm.
so Ashley, if you had an opportunity, and that knowing what you know now, all these years of life, all of these experiences, highs and lows, ups and downs, and everything in between. If you had a chance to speak to the younger version of Ashley, the Ashley who, maybe not only just the younger version of you, but maybe somebody like you who, is desiring to be, attended to. Somebody I want to be liked. I want to be accepted.
Mhm.
I've kind of grown. I've kind of gone down that path of trying to people please, or to do things that I think will make people like me, instead of me
Mhm.
understanding my true value, my true worth, and what I'm deserving of. I'm, the person who might have took less when I should have been taking so much more. When I should have
Mhm.
been setting those boundaries. What would your advice, your words of wisdom, your nuggets that you would drop to that younger Ashley, or somebody again who's like her right now that might be listening and going through the very
Mhm.
same thing that you were going through then, trying to find her way? What would those words of encouragement be?
What would I tell that person? Or tell my younger self? Um, I would tell that person, stay true to yourself. Don't conform to what you feel that other people are wanting. Um, you have a gift inside of you that you don't see, but everybody else sees it, and that's the hard part because it's you know it's just not. You see people with gifts. You're like, oh, they can sing, they can dance, and this stuff. But your gift is so within you that it's hard for you to process when people say, oh, you have such a gift in this and gift in that. But just stay true to yourself and follow your heart and keep listening to God because He's not going to put you in the wrong direction. It may not be the direction you want to go, but it's the direction that's going to get you to the ultimate goal of who you are and what you want to accomplish. And one thing I would also say is, as you're young, do not marry for potential. That potential needs to don't marry for potential and promises.
Mm-mm-mm.
Take your time and know that the way God loves you is what you deserve, and that's all you need. And as you look at other people that you think are being loved, trust me, it's not what you want. It's not what you. It's not. It's all in this picture frame and this picture perfect thing. Oh well, they look so in love. Everybody can look in love, but once you look inside of them, is that love really there? Anybody can take a good picture, but let's pull that picture apart and see what's really going on. And you
Mm-hmm.
need to just focus on just like I said, being true to yourself and know that what God is preparing for you, it's gonna be some bumps and bruises, but it's okay. You're gonna get there. You're gonna get there, and you're gonna want to give up. You're gonna want to scream and holler, and you're gonna want to say, "Bump this! I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna do what I want to do." But like they say, the funniest thing to do is to tell God what you plan to do.
That part. That
Yes.
part.
He will have you laughing and sweating and crying all the whole ride there. So just believe in
Mm-hmm.
yourself and just you got this. You got this. It's gonna be okay. And there's people. And one thing that I know now, as an adult, and as seeing my mom and her walk is that you're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
You are not alone. And it's okay to say, hey, I need some help. I'm not right now. I need some help. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
I love that. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Understand that
Mhm.
you're not alone. Everything, the whole story that you shared today is a very common, relatable thing. I promise somebody is listening to this, going to have opportunity to listen to this episode, and you are you preaching to the choir. They're in the midst of that right now. But I think what's most important of what you just shared was that about loving yourself and learning what that really looks like. God is love, and so if you want to know, if you're out seeking that special someone, that potential, spouse that you love to spend the rest of your life with, and you want to know what he's supposed to look like, you want to know what she's supposed to look like, all you got to do is look at the definition of what love is all about. And this God is love. It is very clear what
Mhm.
that's supposed to, how you should be treated, how you should be respected, how you should be talked to, how you should be cared for. All of that is laid out plain and simple. And and you talked about earlier about you got to pay attention to the flags. Quit trying to make something that isn't there. God, those flags are for you. Those flags are
Mhm.
actually blessings, because they're
Mhm.
trying to warn you. Those are the warning signs that say danger, danger.
Yep.
I,
Yep.
I I know he or she is fun to be with. I know he or she is cute. I know he or she got a nice car, nice place. They're a great dancer, great dresser. We know that. But I'm telling you, warning, warning. I'm trying to give you these cues. I'm trying to give you these signals. So before you make this leap, before you get too far gone to where now your emotions are overruling your train of thought,
Yeah.
your focus, then we have, in other words, we have to pay attention to those signs. And again, those are
Mhm.
blessings that God is sharing you, because it's his way of extending that mercy, that extending that grace to you, so you don't mess up and settle, that you don't mess up and walk into something this is gonna tear you apart. But even if you do, even if you ignore the signs, even if you
Mhm.
stumble right all up in it, when
Yep.
when you had all the warnings that one could ask for,
Yeah.
aside from God writing it in front of you with a big
Yeah.
flashing sign saying no, 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 even then, that relationship with him is so wonderful because he loves you just the same. And when you on the
Mhm.
ground all dirty and your
Yep.
face all messed up, he's gonna pick you up, dust you off, and let you know, hey, we're gonna be all right.
Mhm.
It's going to be okay. Just you just went a little bit, you took the long
Yeah.
route, but we're going to get this right. I'm going to show you what to do. Just follow my lead. Just trust me. And I promise you, I will not lead you astray. So
Yep.
that's good to know. And you are a perfect example of that, because there are many who've gone through situations like yours, but don't have that relationship, and they haven't asked for help. They
Mhm.
haven't leaned into him. And unfortunately, their stories, if they were on here telling it, would be a whole lot different. They may
Mhm.
be, because
Mhm.
they would have been finding their healing, their soothing in things that are not of God.
Exactly.
So I'm just thankful that you didn't have to go that route, even in the midst of the storm that you were in. So, that's why, I commonly use that phrase, we don't look like what we've been through. Anybody hearing your story today would not know that you've been through that, because you don't look like what you've been through. And that's just
Mhm.
God's glory. That's just God's grace. That's just God's covering over you. So I thank you so much for sharing your story and being so transparent with it, because I'm certain that I know I've been blessed by your story, and I'm certain others will be blessed by it as well. So I appreciate that so much. But before I let you go, I do want to take the time to again, to love on you, to celebrate you, to acknowledge you, to affirm you. So if you got anything exciting going on, or right now, or in the works, or some good news to share, or any any kind of anything, it doesn't matter. Please share that. We want to celebrate you as we close this out. What you got going on, Ashley? I know you got stuff
I
going
mean,
on.
I don't really have too much going on. I mean, I'm just moving through life right now, and that's a blessing that I'm able to move through life.
And
you know,
that,
yeah, I don't have any big plans. To I'm content where I'm at
mhm.
for a moment, but I'm still trying to reach the goals of what I want to do in life is to just be a blessing to someone. Maybe one day find that person for me. My daughter's healthy. Like I said, she'll be 15 on Saturday. My job is there. I am trying to work on my real estate license to get that going. So I'm trying to just build some wealth here, a little money here, a little trinkets there.
There we go. Nothing,
So
nothing wrong with
I'm
that.
blessed. I say that I'm blessed. I am blessed to be blessed.
There you go. I mean, and that's
Mhm.
and I know you start off. Well, I don't really have. Well, you do. You have plenty to celebrate. You like you said. I got a healthy, loving daughter that's about to be 15. Again, you talked about throughout this whole time when you've been together. You talked about how I was going to make through. How was I going to make it through that? Now being a single mom and and going through all of that. You should that in itself is something to celebrate. I got a 15-year-old and she's smart. She's in sports. She's doing her thing. She has a great, wonderful personality. She's just a happy kid. She's a happy kid. And I know everybody that's listening to the show I haven't had the specific pleasure of meeting her. I have, so I can speak to that. Wonderful kid, just a good sense of humor, just a joy to be around. She brings a smile to your face. I know you're a proud mom. I know she's doing well in school. That's to celebrate. You're working on a real estate license. That's to celebrate. And again, you are in a good space right now. That's to celebrate, and we don't want to minimize that. We're counting our blessings. We don't want to minimize that. So thank you just for sharing that, and again, we need to appreciate those things. The things that we tend to take for granted, we have to stop taking them for granted,
Yeah,
because they
correct.
all are important.
Hmm.
They all are to be celebrated, and we give all the credit, all the glory, all the honor to God for doing it for us, because He didn't have to, but because He loves us and loves us unconditionally, He makes those things possible in our lives. So I thank Him for that, and I thank Him for you, and I'm
Okay.
glad that I've had the pleasure of meeting you and calling you friend and having you to be on the
Yeah.
show and sharing your story. So it has been awesome. And again, I know your story is going to bless many who have an opportunity to listen. So for
Mhm.
my audience, if you've enjoyed our time together today, the content that we're speaking to, please subscribe, please share, please like, please comment. Because here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is what it's all about. We want to encourage, we want to uplift, we want to inspire, telling our stories, telling our journeys, being authentic, being transparent, just keeping it real, being relatable, understanding
Mhm.
that we all go through storms, we all have challenges. And, we may not always know how it's going to work out, but at the end of the day, you don't have to be consumed by those things. It's not the end of your story just because you're going through a difficult time. And most importantly, there is a God who loves you unconditionally, who wants nothing but the best for you. And if that's a decision that you have not yet made, I promise you it'll be the best decision you can ever make, to be in
Amen.
relationship with
Mhm.
Him, and to turn over all of those things, all of those challenges, all of those moments and times in life that we go through. Turn it over to Him and just let Him guide you and lead you accordingly and be there for you. And I promise you, there won't be anything too big that you can't conquer, that you can't overcome, and God will tap into those gifts that you have within you and position you to be able to be a blessing to many, as well as to be a recipient of many blessings along the way. So with that said, here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and where your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, God bless. Take care of yourself. Keep fighting that good fight. Don't give up. Don't allow the challenges and the storms of life to overtake you. It doesn't have to be the end. It's not the end. You have a God who loves you and wants nothing but the best with you, the best for you. So just lean into Him, lean into His understanding. Let's stop adding our problems and let's start counting our blessings. So until next time,
Amen.
take care of yourselves. I'll see you then.